Hello.
Of course we're first. There you are.
Sorry.
No
I
one wants to be first on
tried to see the
Zoom.
bar up there because you never know what one is going to see. Hi, everybody. Can you guys hear
Hi.
me?
Ah,
Are we starting? How do we know when we're to go? We
I
are.
think I think we're on.
All right.
It's been a great intro so far.
I know, failed. Okay. Hi,
Ah,
I'm Padma Lakshmi, and I'm hosting tonight's beautiful talk with these two lovely people on the occasion of the publication of their wonderful book, Food Between Friends. Welcome, everybody from Barnes & Noble. And hi, Jesse.
hi.
I'm glad you introduced me to Julie, who I'm going to be talking to for the next 45 minutes. So just chill.
I'm not
Jesse
nervous
and
at
I
all.
are longtime friends, and he has always had a great avid interest in cooking and reading about food and finding out about different ingredients. And it's always a pleasure to experience a friend's enthusiasm for, what you love to do. And now I'm so excited that he got together with Julie and made this beautiful book. Julie, tell us please about how you met Jesse.
Oh boy. We met at a pop-up dinner party, which it's one of these dinner parties where you buy the ticket ahead of time, and on the day of you get the information where it's going to be. And of course, it was like a 2-hour Uber drive for me because
That's
we're
an
in.
LA thing, by the way. The shit
Yeah.
would never happen in New York.
Yeah, I had a
Be able
newborn.
to like book in advance and take a 2-hour ride. That would be
I know.
Connecticut. Go ahead, Julie.
I had a newborn baby. I think it was my first time out of the house. I was going alone, which is a whole other thing. So I was very hesitant to go to this dinner party, but I went, and I saw Jesse when I got there, and I was like, oh, okay, there's the guy from Modern Family. Ended up staying, and I was eyeballing the exit, and I was like, I'm gonna sit by the exit because I don't want to stay here all night. I'm gonna leave. And Jesse also didn't want to be there and wanted to sit near the exit.
I
And
hope the hosts of that dinner are not listening right now because there's a book we haven't sold.
Well, the thing is the whole dinner party was meant to introduce people to new people, and it was an interactive dinner party. There was like a ukulele involved. There were like questions on the bottom of your dinner plate that you were supposed to lift your dinner plate and read the question to the person on your right. I was like, no, this is not my jam.
do you remember the question?
I don't remember the question.
It was, when was the last time you were wet? And Jesse, do you remember? I saved it.
Like in the rain, I hope.
Really?
Bottom of our chair, and that was the question we had to ask each other.
But the whole purpose of the dinner party was to introduce new people to one another, and so like it works. Like I was hesitant, but look,
Look what happened. Do you guys feel either like you're being interviewed for an episode of Modern Family where or I first was getting like Newlywed Game vibes, when you
True.
tell us
The cards. No, that's not what I said. Yeah, no, for sure.
But that is what this is, right? So this is a food friendship between. It's like a culinary coupledom.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the spirit of the book is all about sharing the food that we love to grow up eating, which is the way I like to cook with all of my friends. I mean, when you've been over, Padma, I'm grilling you about, food that I don't know about, or if we're going out to dinner, I'm like, please take me somewhere that like I've never been before. And so it's about, sharing experiences and learning about each other's histories and the food we grew up eating. And so that's the spirit of what this book is. And, Julie introduced me to things like sorghum syrup in the book, and I introduced her to hatch green chilies, and Julie loves cooking with butter and sugar, and I'm like, less that.
Yeah.
I remember doing a meal. I was working on a pan sauce, and I love the way the pan sauce tasted without butter. I mean, well, I never made it with butter, let's just be honest. And I turned my back on Julie for 3 seconds, and she added like 5 tablespoons of butter to the pan sauce. And I came back and I tasted it. I was like, oh, this tastes really good. Like I really nailed it this time. She's like, because I added butter to it. So,
Sometimes it really comes in handy.
Yeah.
It does. When I was a little girl, I would open the fridge and I would scoop, this is so gross, I would scoop my finger in the butter stick and just eat it plain.
Carve it, yeah.
Yeah. And now my kids, they're like, can I have a bite of butter?
Oh, hold
My daughter Krishna used to try and take bites off of butter sticks in the fridge like a candy bar.
I still do that.
Then I would like cut her little paths. But yeah, I mean, there's just sometimes there's a silkiness that nothing but butter can
Mhm.
do,
Yeah.
you know. So how did you guys come about, like decide to do the cookbook? And then I know you guys were cooking together for a long time, right? And then how did you also decide what recipes would go in the book?
Well, the night we met, I think we were talking about another idea, and Jesse loved it, and he immediately the next day called his agents. He's like, "I met this girl. She, you know, I think you said it was amazing." And so we took this idea to his agent, and she said, "You guys should spend some time in the kitchen together."
Good advice.
We did that. We started cooking together. We would have friends over. We would have dinner parties. We would cook for our families. And we honestly had the best time in the kitchen, like lots and lots of laughter.
And you post something on Instagram and people would be like, oh, I want the recipe for that. So we started a blog so we could house the recipes in online somewhere. And that caught the attention of Clarkson Potter, our publisher, the publishing house. And we started working on this book with one of our favorite editors of all time, Francis Lamb, who's obviously not only an amazing editor of so many incredible books, but he's also the host of Splendid Table. And just being under his guidance made us feel so validated, because we're both first-time authors, and
That's right.
I was terrified to start this.
Yeah,
I mean, I love writing, but I've never written a cookbook, and I've never written any sort of long form thing. I like write an essay for like Men's Health or something. But writing a book is intimidating.
Yeah, you're telling me.
Yeah,
It's intimidating every time, by the way. It never gets easier. It gets different, but not easier.
By the way, I just got in the mail yesterday the reissue of your cookbook.
Thank you. I hope you like it. I mean, I know you already have it, so it's kind of weird because the book has been around for so long.
That would look cool to look at it again.
I mean, it's nice. I corrected some typos. The publisher said, do you want to write a new introduction? I was like, sure. And then I read the introduction. I'm like, I'm not trying to skirt any work, but honestly, I would say the same thing today. In fact, everything I said then is more true now.
It's so interesting.
I wish I could have updated more, but it was fine.
Yeah, we looked at several books because the introduction of a cookbook is really important.
Mm-hmm.
And we were very intimidated. It felt like the biggest homework assignment I've ever had in like my whole 45 years of existence, and in Julie's 21 years of existence. She's not 21, right. But we looked at different introductions, and yours was one of them. And I was like, this is just such a beautiful example of writing about your past, and talking about why you wanted to share these recipes with the world. That's all you need to do, but it has to be authentic and in your voice, and you did a great job.
To feel conversational too.
Well,
how it turned out.
Yeah.
You bring up a good point, which was my feeling reading the book, is that it feels like this beautiful conversation, this never-ending conversation between two friends. And it's quite fluid and easy-handed. And, how did you guys, what was the process of writing that down? Did you just have like a voice memo on all the time? Or, how did the writing process actually work?
Yeah.
I feel like for the intro, we each wrote it, and
we each wrote a pass of the intro basically.
And then we just combined them, and it felt like our conversation was put onto paper.
Okay.
Right.
That's sort of, I think, probably how the first pass went. It took a little bit of massaging and to make it feel like it was cohesive and told in two different voices, but also not shifting in tone, which was tricky. Mm-hmm. And we also wanted the recipes to feel that way too. We didn't want to have a recipe that came from my past and my history, and then you turn the page and it's like, wait, what book am I in? Like, we didn't want. It was hard finding that sort of cohesion. But I think when you're talking about regions like the Southwest, where Julie is from, I'm from the Southwest. I remember where I was born, from New Mexico and Alabama. Those culinary styles like really meld beautifully together, mm-hmm. and it didn't take too much as far as trying to massage style into it. Like the recipes really did flow from one to the other. It was more about the writing that we wanted to feel like it was so cohesive while still being very true to our individual voices.
It happened really naturally. And we love for those of you that haven't seen it, but the color coding that we ended up doing, our designer helped. We loved how that came together with the greenish blue and there it is.
I have it. It's a beautiful book.
It's a very subtly color coded.
Yeah, this looks like it's out of your wardrobe or in your house. Like I also, because I've stayed there and been there so much, I recognize the kitchen and miss that kitchen. It's a nice kitchen actually. And
the photos.
The other parts of the house, but there is kind of a beautiful, like an informal elegance about the book that I think is very chic.
Yeah.
That photo reminded me of like a restaurant in Savannah, Georgia or something. And then you turn to another one and you feel like you're in New Mexico, and it works. We love how
beautiful too.
Oh yeah.
That's a good one. That's a good one. And there's a lot of like text messages that we have written to one another that have ended up in the book. I think if you look at our crispy dill pickles, there's an instruction for a sprig. And I think I actually texted Julie. I was like, and I don't want to be blue because but I said, WTF is a sprig. Like, what the F is a sprig? No one knows what a sprig is. And Julie responded back. It's like a 3 to 4 inch herb.
Time.
I said, I'm eyeballing it. I don't care. It's like that whole text message sort of ended up in the book as like a little sort of side colored, colorful side note.
Some of my best recipes I have written in a cab like this.
Yeah.
Text because somebody's asked something, and all those things that you make impromptu often are sometimes the best recipes. Did you guys, when cooking, just riff and say, let's go get some ingredients, let's cook? And were there any recipes that was born out of, your publisher or your agent telling you, why don't you guys cook together a bit? Or were they recipes that you guys just brought to the table and then enhanced and tweaked, each of you?
Yeah, I mean, well, one example is the green chili chicken enchilada pot pie. I think I said that.
That sounds delicious, by the way.
There's some in the fridge that I'm going to get in after this. Jesse texted me one night. He said, I just made the best green chili sauce. And then I put this on it and I fried some tortillas and I was like, let's turn it into a pot pie. And so there was a lot of cooking that would be done individually. And then we would text each other, we would get really excited. And then another one of us would bring in another element. And
there was some, ideas were given to us by our editor, because they also have, worked on thousands and thousands of cookbooks. So it's like they have really good advice. So, we would bring some ideas to them and be like, oh, maybe not that, but maybe this, or consider that, or consider this. But always the whole time being very supportive of what we wanted to do. In our very first brainstorming session, I actually posted a photo of it on my Instagram page on the day our cookbook came out, was us just sort of writing down different ideas and categorizing them by color and seeing more like chapters sort of formatted, and they were all done on Post-it notes on a wall in my living room. And we actually had to pull out a whiteboard to put extra Post-it notes on because we were overflowing with ideas. And if you zoom in, you can see some categories that just never made it into the book, and it's fun to sort of see where those initial instincts laid. We
also tried to using, we don't call for fancy equipment, with the exception of a waffle maker, because Jesse developed these waffles that are insanely delicious. I was like, okay, we'll do a waffle maker, but otherwise it's a cast iron skillet, a Dutch oven. We didn't want to call for any.
They look great.
We didn't want to call for, ingredients that were hard to find, or, with the exception of sorghum syrup, which you can get on Amazon very easily. But our editors were really helpful. Like, maybe we want to consider, remember the French toast? I wanted to use the, I'm probably mispronouncing it, but katafi, which is like in baklava, the shredded phyllo dough, which you can find at specialty stores. I wanted to use that in the French toast, and Jesse was like,
I had to talk her out of it.
No.
I was like, Julie, I mean, no one's gonna, I mean, maybe someone will buy it, but like, I really want it to be something you can get at like the Gelson's.
so we went with nuts, lots of fun nuts.
Yeah.
Good. I know Jesse has had the experience of like having to get obscure spices and weird, funky seeds and twigs. And he's like, what do we
Give
get?
us some.
Yeah, that's right. You did give us some. You gave us some, were they curry leaves from your mom's tree?
Yeah, my dad has a curry leaf farm in California. So whenever I come to your house, I go to their house and they always give some to me. And also, I didn't want to stay in a house that didn't have fresh curry.
We should say this is a side story. Padma stayed at my house one year for the Emmy Awards when we were both lucky to be nominated. And she stayed with me for like a week because there's all these parties leading up to it. We had so much fun cooking together. And
Oh my God, we had so much fun.
she went through my spice drawer and she was like, okay, taking note of what she needed to order and
Were you
send to the house.
tossing stuff?
Yeah, she was tossing things away, expired spices away, and the next day, like an Amazon package or a package of something from the Spice House came, and there was all these spices that she had ordered, and then she actually sent me more after she left, so she set me up.
I had a manila envelope of the curry leaves.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes, love them. Thank
You know, it's like a cook's spices are like a painter's paints, you know, you need a good toolbox. So what was the one recipe that you had to cut from the book, which I always think is interesting, that didn't make it in the book that you wish you had, or did you include every one you tested?
We were such good students. Francis Lamb, after our first pass, after we sent in our first draft, he said, you actually have too many recipes. We have to cut like 15 to 20 recipes.
Really hard.
And it was really, really hard. Fortunately, a lot of those we put them on a bonus PDF because they've already been photographed and like,
Right.
you know, what is one of the ones that we,
Oh, it was, and Jesse and I are both very indecisive. So trying to decide what to cut was, I think a granola.
there was a granola that didn't make it, but there was actually a lot of the vegetable dishes.
Yeah, there was a yummy rice dish during the pandemic when you couldn't find anything in the grocery stores. We would go to the farmer's market. I'm gonna just create something from what I can find here. And I think there was like a kale rice. What did we call that? Lemony kale rice, which is in the bonus.
Yeah.
The bonus book.
I want to talk about the pandemic a little bit. What was that like? Because you also cooked, you know, over the year, you were probably photographing these recipes over pandemic. What was it like to cook in the pandemic, and what did you enjoy cooking the most? What did you gravitate toward?
I mean, we had the same issues that everyone was having because when the shutdown happened in March, we were still
really here.
Yeah, a year ago this week. We were still in the developmental phase with some recipes. A lot of them had been locked down, but we were still trying to figure some things out. And, you know, you'd go to the grocery store and the only thing would be, you know, chicken wings and like peanut butter and jelly. And like, so we were having to be creative with what we had in the house and ordering things online and waiting for them to arrive. And obviously the mail was very slow. So that was, but a lot of the substitutions we had to make for some of the recipes actually ended up making them really special, and that we kept them. Like I think the chicken and dumplings is a good example of that, the sort of the struggle, because I couldn't find potatoes, so I was using some sweet potatoes, and it was based off of a recipe Julie was teaching me to make because I'd never made chicken and dumplings, and so I basically recreated the entire dish.
My mom was skeptical.
Yeah.
Being Southern, she made chicken dumplings her whole life, and she was like, sweet potatoes, and of course she made it and loved it.
Yeah. And our very first lifestyle photo shoot, which is, you know, the photo shoot where you're photographing yourself with the food and sort of, you know, like the cover, for example, is part of the lifestyle shoot. That was actually done in February of last year. So we were able to get it in before the shutdown. But then the photography of like the recipes themselves happened in July of this past year, on the same week that my son was born in Las Vegas. So while I was waiting for, that photo was taken in July of last year, and I was looking at that photo being taken while I was in a hospital room waiting. I was in a hospital room waiting for Becca to come, looking at the photo shoot on a Zoom and giving notes from the hospital in Vegas. So we made it work.
That weekend when you guys were in Vegas. I didn't realize you were doing this all at once. What is it like? I mean, I can ask you this, Jesse. What is it like to balance work and fatherhood? Especially with a young child. How do you do it all?
Julie actually probably can answer that better than I, because she actually, I feel like her kids are actually a full-time job right now. Beckett's like, you put him in the crib and he's fine for a little while. And I haven't had really work this past year. So I'm excited to actually figure out how to balance work and being a father and the home chef. Justin, as you know, Padma, does not help at all in the kitchen.
Does he go to groceries? Does he?
No. He offered.
He's saving all his energy for Soul Cycle.
Exactly.
Or whatever marathon or triathlon or whatever he's doing.
Yeah.
He actually, I had him. He was doing some chores a week ago, and he asked me which was the dryer and which was the washer. So that's where we're at.
My daughter was.
I have to get also to some of the audience questions, but
oh yes, we have an audience.
yes. Did you say what your favorite recipe was in the book? Each of you said what you left out, but what is your favorite recipe, Julie?
Oh, you go first.
I'll go first. Okay. I think the green chili chicken enchilada pot pie is probably my current favorite. It does change day to day, but it's such a perfect example of a hybrid of the South with the pot pie and the enchiladas being the Southwest, and it just feels unique, and it's really hard to come up with new ideas when you're writing a cookbook.
Yeah.
Everything's been done.
No new ideas, just
There's
different
no
formulations.
Exactly. So I feel like this was at least like an attempt at something pretty unique. So
yeah, it changes. Like we made on Good Morning America Monday, we made blue cornmeal pancakes, and I hadn't made them in a while. So, oh my God, I forgot how much I love these. So that's a favorite. But I also love our buttermilk roast chicken that gets brined in buttermilk, and it's got these like big croutons that cook in the chicken fat, and so you get like a crispy crouton with that's so good. Highly recommend.
Is that your favorite go-to meal, like when you have company coming?
Yeah, I love a roast chicken. I like to roast a chicken on Sunday night too, and then you can use leftovers, salad.
Yeah, I've been doing Justin's requested this garlicky sorghum chicken stir fry at least once a week. So it's one of the few that doesn't have, oh no, it does have a picture.
It does.
That was the other thing, is like figuring out which recipes don't deserve a picture, because like meatloaf, for example, is not photographed well.
I know, it's really tough.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna give you some questions from the audience, okay?
Yeah.
When you were growing up, what food did you not ever want to try? Jesse.
Oh gosh. You know what? It was Indian food. I was so intimidated by it, like the curries and the lamb, and then
You're still intimidated by it a little.
I am. No, I'm intimidated by the spice. I do remember you took me to an Indian food restaurant in New York, and it was so hot, and I was sweating. Beads of sweat were rolling down my face, and you were fine. And I was like, how is this? I mean, that's when it's like definitely genetics. Like I should not have been eating that spicy of food. And but now it's like I love it so much, but I was really intimidated by it, and it took moving to New York and going to some really fantastic Indian restaurants before I truly loved it.
And what about you, Julie?
Mine. So my dad would always make rutabagas, and first of all, peeling them I would watch him. You need a hatchet to peel them. It's like, I don't want to eat those, and he would just boil them and then salt and pepper, and it was so disgusting to me. And now I love them because I love them with rosemary and different, and they're actually in the shepherd's pie. I put rutabaga in the shepherd's pie, so now I love them, but hated it growing up.
All right, another question from the audience. I asked you about your favorite dish in the cookbook. have you each loved being in the kitchen since you were just pups, or did you find this passion as adults?
For me, it was really moving to LA and inheriting a larger kitchen and workspace.
Right.
Um, Being in New York, there was just no space to be creative in a kitchen. I lived in shoebox apartments, and I would just always eat out because the food was so amazing in New York and still continues to be. I cooked a little with my mom, but it was usually just holiday cookies, um,
Which are so
which
good.
are very good. But yeah, I was a late bloomer for sure.
What about you, Julie?
I was also a late bloomer. I had so many amazing cooks in my family, mainly women, that I just thought I am not going to even try to cook and compete with my Aunt Irma, who just like kills Thanksgiving dinner, literally and figuratively. No. And so I also felt like I wouldn't be taken seriously as a woman, like cooking in the kitchen. And so I needed to, pursue my career in public relations. And I moved to DC and New York. And then I went to culinary school in New York. So same thing. It was in New York. I was introduced to all of these amazing cuisines. You get the best Indian food and Chinese food within blocks, from my apartment. And so that's really when I started cooking.
Okay. And what was your favorite thing to make when you were young?
Me,
Yeah.
One.
definitely chocolate chip cookies.
What about you, Jesse?
Um, I definitely it was probably the cookies too. I have a story of making. My mom would make these really kind of complicated candy cane cookies with a red dough and a white dough, and she'd have to twist them, and they were sort of like a shortbread, and they were kind of almondy, and they were really delicious, but they were time consuming. And I loved the way the dough tasted, and she formatted all these candy canes, and they were drying before she put them in the oven. And or maybe she'd just taken them out of the oven. And I went around and I took about an inch off of each one. Because I thought if I just take an inch off of each one, she'll never notice. So they were all like basically like little horseshoes instead of candy canes. And of course she noticed. But I ate an inch off of every single cookie. That got into a lot of trouble.
Is there anything you two would change about the book if you could? There's always one thing that you don't get to do or wish you had done,
There's just like little things, and you probably feel the same way after, like, if you spend some time flipping through your book, like you've said, there's some spelling errors. There was I emailed Francis Lamb. I was like, there is a word in the tips and tools under stand mixers. There's a word that I've never, it's just not English. And I realized they conflated two words, like the beginning of one word and the end of another one, made it into like a word. It's basically like, remember when Trump talked about kafafi?
Yeah.
Kofifi. Basically, it's a word like that. It's not a real word. And so I'm hoping I don't find any more. But no, I think I'm really happy with.
I honestly would not change anything. Every time I look at it, I'm like, the design is beautiful, the photos are beautiful, the recipes, like I'm so happy with it.
You should be. Congratulations to both of you. It's a big deal. Your first book is a really big deal. Enjoy it. Okay. How often do you entertain guests that you cook for, and what was your most successful dish, COVID notwithstanding? Obviously, usually erase this last year of non-entertaining at home.
I think, well, the first memory for me that comes to mind is I had, from my Mommy and Me group, when Josephine was born, I had a few mom friends over, and I just needed something easy that was delicious, and I did a slow roasted salmon with like a red wine butter. So we did a similar version in the book, and all of my friends were like, this is the best thing we've ever had. And I just remember it was one of the first times I'd cooked after having a baby. So just that validation was really nice. I don't know, it was the dish or just their response and happiness that made it the best.
Gosh, it's so hard to like really pinpoint like what your most amazing successful time in the kitchen was. I do think I mean, again, I go back to emotion, and this actually did happen in COVID. So I'm breaking the rules and answering the question my own way. But when Justin and I celebrated our anniversary this past year, I ordered in some caviar and champagne, and then I made chicken fingers as well. So, and we had a little dinner outside by the fireplace, and it was honestly one of the most special meals I've had in years.
That sounds like a delicious combo.
It's fantastic. The highs and lows, wonderful. I can't recommend it more.
Or just potato chips. I love champagne, caviar, sour cream, and like just old fashioned Cape Cod, but their Cape Cod's usually small, like a Lay's potato chip.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Or kettle potato chip, kettle chips, whatever they call it. Okay, so here's another fan question. What food trend are you into right now?
Oh, what's happening with the food?
I can't keep up with food holidays. Every time I go on Instagram, it's National
Donut Day.
Yeah. What am I into?
I don't know. What are
I'm into food between friends recipes. It's just the trend I'm into right now.
I know. I'm trying to think like what it's been. The thing is, this past year we've just not been able to like enjoy going out the way that we used to go. It's like I kind of forget what the food trends are. I know that I don't like avocado toast anymore. I can tell you when I don't like. I'm very tired of avocado toast.
Unicorn cakes.
Unicorn cakes, yeah.
What's a unicorn cake?
You know, these cakes, it's lots of fondant, which I'm not a fan of fondant, but I don't know, there's like the horn, is it
the one that you cut and then all the candy falls out?
Well, there's those, which I'm into.
Oh, okay.
Like a burst of M&Ms. Yeah, but I mean, I'll eat any cake. I don't care what shape it is. Armadillo. Okay.
Okay. Is there a particular recipe you would recommend us fans, readers cook first? Jesse.
Oh gosh, I would say, the green chili chicken enchilada pie, if that's a favorite, but also
you really like that. I'm gonna make you make that for me.
Oh,
if you don't greet me the next time I see you in Los Angeles with a hot pie in your hand.
I cannot wait.
Like green chili chicken inside. I'm not gonna be happy. I want you to know that.
You know another good one that's easy, I think, for someone who maybe is a little scared to cook or doesn't cook a lot, like the crab linguine is excellent and pretty easy to make, and it's got these delicious herby breadcrumbs on top.
Yeah, it's very delicious and comes together very quickly.
Yeah. The roast chicken. Oh, this is another easy one. The lamb chops, because I actually don't even finish mine in the oven because I like them more rare, but the lamb chops, you just sear, they come together really quickly.
And something also I just want to mention before, we get too far to the end of this conversation is that there's a lot of vegetarian and there's not a vegan chapter per se, but there's a lot of recipes that can be made vegan. But the Meatless Mondays chapter is really full of like hearty and robust meals. And it's not just, I sometimes think vegetarians get the short end of the stick, and we really wanted to create meals that were delicious. There's this cheesy cauliflower mole enchiladas, which are really delicious. So there's a lot for people who don't eat meat.
On behalf of all vegetarians, thank you.
Yeah.
Half my family is pure vegetarian. They don't even eat eggs. So I know, it's not hard with Indian food, but yes, when you go out or it's a big dinner, that you often get just the sides piled on a plate. Yeah. And it can be so much more interesting than that. What is your most embarrassing dinner party story, Jesse?
I tackled Thanksgiving dinner on one of my first Novembers in Los Angeles, and I had a very small table, and I crowded like 8 people around this very small table, and I was like, I'm doing it all. I'm doing the mashed potatoes, I'm doing the stuffing, I'm doing the turkey. Well, that was my first mistake, absolutely. But I was really on top of it. I made lots of lists. I was really, really good about brining the turkey, and I had a timeline all situated. And when we cut into the turkey, as we're getting ready to eat, I realized I forgot to take the bag of giblets out of the turkey. So the plastic bag had been in there the entire time, roasting with the turkey.
Wish I'd been there.
It was, so that was, and you know, as
Is
you're
it bad? Didn't you just pull it out? Or I guess it made it a lot more gamey.
no, I'll just pull it out.
No one knew.
What is the best career advice anyone has ever given you? Julie.
Oh, that's career advice.
It's probably from me.
I was about to say it's probably from Jesse. Oh God, that's hard.
I can tell you all the things I've given
Tell
you
me.
advice. Don't apologize for things you don't really need to apologize
That
for.
That is one.
Don't overthink things.
Yes. I will say COVID has, really helped me to just let go of a lot of things that really used to bother me. And it's helped me to cook. I cook with my kids more. Henry and I were baking one day. He dropped the entire container of flour in the pantry. I feel like old me would have just like lost my SHIT and gotten upset. And I just let it go and I laughed. I took a video. He was naked. It was really funny. So yeah, I've started to take things a little less seriously.
What about you, Jesse?
The best career advice I've ever gotten, I think it's just like really trust your own uniqueness, nerve and talent, to quote RuPaul. But yeah, the things that I'm maybe not good at make me who I am. No one should be good at everything, because that means you're just like half good at a lot of things. I'd rather like really be wonderful at a very few things. So when you're an actor, you obviously want to be as versatile as possible and have as many skills as possible. And it's just that I don't think that really does me any justice, or it doesn't service my art to try and do everything well. So I think leaning into what makes you unique is good advice.
Yeah.
Okay.
What I'm gonna like go back and say, oh, I wish I had said this.
What food can you not have in the house?
Well, I really try and keep candy out of the house. Although I did buy jelly beans because I just can't. I love jelly beans so much, and I get so excited every Easter. That. Yes, I just love the way they look in a jar. I mean, they're not that good. They're just pretty.
No, they're not very good. I didn't know you had such a sweet tooth.
I have a bad sweet tooth, so I really try and keep candy out of the house. But I do have M&Ms and no jelly beans.
So you have jelly beans or M&Ms or both?
Both, actually.
Combined. Mine is probably Oreos. Oof. I could.
What do you can't? Tell me. I want to hear your answer, Padma.
Potato chips.
Oh, yeah.
I love like really spicy, like jalapeno potato chips that are really crunchy, kettle corn thingies. Dark chocolate. Mm-hmm. Caviar and champagne and sour cream.
Oh my God, your answers are so sophisticated. I came up with jelly beans.
I mean, that's basically it though. I like coffee ice cream. I love coffee ice cream.
Oh yeah, ice cream's another. It doesn't last.
And other stuff like that, I'm fine with. Tate's cookies, those.
Those are delicious.
Oh, those are so good.
I like crispy cookies. I don't like soft cookies. I need something to dip in my tea. So. Okay, what food is always stocked in your house?
Buttermilk.
These are all the things I never
and hot sauce. What else?
Yeah, no, you do have a lot of hot sauce. Mine as well. I have hot sauce as well. And hatch green chilies. I have ginger, always garlic. The staples. Mm-hmm. A well-stocked spice drawer, just in case Padma stops over.
We got to replace those out. And then I have a question for Julie. What do you like about cookbook writing?
Going into this, I knew it would be a recipe book, but what really surprised me, I've never shared my writing with anyone. And it was even hard to send it to Jesse. So I really loved the creative writing part of it. Once I got in a rhythm and it was, I got in a groove and was writing it. I just loved it. I also really loved the photo shoot and seeing, we were on Zoom and the way our photographer had it set up, like we could see the dish, the actual photo coming to life. And that was just to see the dishes that we developed, and we had our photos that were fine, to see them just come together and look so beautiful. I think I cried multiple times during the photo shoot. So the writing and all of it. I love writing cookbooks now. Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Boy.
Here we go.
Well, I can see why. It's a beautiful book. Here it is. Everybody, I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. Look at that.
Ooh, this is the word.
A good one. By the way, it looks like Padma's in a Barnes & Noble right now. I know that's your office, but
Well,
I know it's your office, but it's just, you look like you're in a grand bookstore.
very sneaky peek at the rest of it. Well, yeah, it's like I'm gonna build another bookshelf now
Fantastic.
in the other room, because my little prayer cabinet's gonna unfortunately bite the dust.
No.
But I pray to books more than I pray to other things. So I want to thank you guys for talking with me. I'm so excited for this book to come out. Congratulations to both of you. Thank you everybody for coming to this Barnes & Noble event. Please buy their book. Please buy my book. Here, hold on.
Buy both of our books. There it is. If you have a cookbook, hold it up.
New book.
There it is.
Tangy tart, hot and sweet. I think I look the same.
You do. You haven't changed since the day I met you.
I wear a lot more makeup now. That's the only difference.
So do I.
There we are. It was so lovely to talk with you guys. I can't wait to cook more from the book. Try the peanut butter chocolate brownies. They're wonderful. I made those with my family. I wish you guys so much success, and I can't wait to read the next book and have that chicken pot pie green chili number that you're gonna make.
Next time I see you, I'll make it for
That
you.
crust better be flaky, Jesse.
No, it's made with corn tortillas.
Oh, that's a good trick. All right. Talk to you guys later. Bye. Thanks, everybody. Oh, yeah. Okay. Are we off? I can leave, right? Oh, I didn't say any of this stuff. Oh, well.
It was just there to guide you.